Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Albuquerque Aliens Draft Glory franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode, we had the year 4 off season, and it was a decent one, I'd say, for us. We also added some good prospects in the draft, but more importantly, I'd say, we gave a big-time extension to Ristolainen. So Ristolainen has a nice extension at $9.125 million for the next 8 seasons. The last 3 years of that deal, I believe, is a no trade clause, or was it no movement? No movement clause. So we have him locked up for those 8 years, which is awesome. And I think he's going to only get better from here on out. He's been one of our best players, I think, in this series so far up to this point. As you can see, he's getting better every single season in terms of offense. His physical play seems to be evident. He's also pretty good in the face-off department. Like, he's just all around a really solid player. So very happy that we were able to lock him up. And yeah, obviously we're going to continue to lock up a lot of our players as these seasons go on. So yeah, it's been an exciting time for this team, and we have probably our best looking roster on paper, I would say, going into this year 5 season. And yeah, I'm just excited to see how this team ends up simulating, because you can see we actually have some solid depth to our lineup. We do have almost everybody in the 70s in the NHL, which is good on the forward group. And then you see the defensive group. It's obviously a little bit on the weaker end still, but Tuzolino's starting to develop nicely. Narena's starting to look really good too as an offensive defenseman, so very excited to see how those guys do this season. And in our goaltending, Emiliano Del Colli is back from the AHL as a 70 overall. He hasn't played since 25-26, so excited to see what he could do. And then Shipley will be his backup. And then we have just some random guys still as depth, obviously, even though we're not going to have injuries on again this season. AHL-wise, we do have a couple prospects down there to take note of, which are Bure and Zetterberg on the offensive side of things. And then on defense, you can see we have pretty much almost a full-on defense core with these 5 prospects as well. And then we have Tamerlan and Thorne both down there in the AHL. So we have a lot of prospects, and we're starting to build up basically enough players to have a full-on NHL roster and a full-on AHL roster, which is pretty exciting. So hopefully we continue to add good prospects, and hopefully we could still build up this team as we get better as a team. But anyways, before we get into simulating year number 5, let's get in your guys' comments now and see what you guys have to say about last episode. And then we will see what this team is capable of. And hopefully this team could obviously, I'd say, have over 10 wins this season. But I'm not too sure exactly how the sim engine is going to work. So I'm going to say at least like 15. But it could be realistically less than that. It could somehow be more than that. Just depends, I guess, on like how the rest of our division is simulating and all that type of thing. So the first comment is from Big T, who says, I think DeMonte will get in face-off. So he's making talking about Del Monte here. He thinks Del Monte should get the center spot on that second line, because I was thinking maybe we want to trade one of change one of our left wingers, so Kolars or Del Monte, to a center. Now, I don't think I'm going to do it this season. I was debating about doing it this season, but I think Bogosian's a serviceable center. He's got decent face-off stats. We have Tulipov, who we're trying to develop down the middle as well. We also have Stefan Steen, who we recently drafted down the middle. So I think for right now, keeping Del Monte as a left winger for 1 season at least will be okay, kind of like what we did with Kolars. And then eventually maybe we could see if he's a better as a second-line center. So we'll see if Del Monte will want to change probably going into next season, but not this upcoming season. Just give him a 1-year trial kind of at left wing and see how he does first and foremost. The next comment is from Sound Otaku. It says, Camilleri was a bit of a whiff, but Bure could develop into something really good. I would have let him sit unsigned for 1 year to get more growth, and when he was 6 year better, put him in the AHL. I know he's a bit older, but you still don't want to put him in too early. And yeah, that's kind of true with Bure, because Bure does have low elite potential. I just think, obviously, him being 19, that he might not develop if he sits unsigned, because I have seen some low elites where they just don't do anything. I'm hoping that if he's good enough in the AHL next to somebody like Zetterberg, who is a sniper, that obviously he could generate enough growth to be like maybe a 65, 68, something like that by the end of his first season in the AHL. And who knows, maybe he could be in the NHL within 3 seasons, but obviously depends on how he actually develops. Hopefully he's one of those low elites that can make it and isn't going to just develop into like a 4th line / depth forward. And the last and final comment is from Michael Dose, who says, I have a really good feeling on that draft. Del Monte is going to be amazing, but you got some really good players towards the end too. And yeah, I think it was a pretty good draft for the most part. Obviously, it wasn't the best draft on paper, but I think obviously these drafts, they're going to be coming tougher and tougher for us because obviously we're going to start becoming a better team, which means we're going to need good late round picks and all that stuff eventually. And obviously we're going to need picks, our players that are really good in like round 5 and all that. Like once we start getting low leads in like round 4 or 5 a lot, that's going to definitely help with our prospect pool quite a bit. But for right now, I think, like I said, our team is looking pretty decent. I do think our center depth is okay the way it is right now, and that's why I'm not moving Del Monte to center yet or trying to. But I think at some point, obviously, we could change him or Kolarz to center. But for right now, we might as well just keep it the same and see how it does for a season. Because like I said, Bogosian has been getting better too. And he does have top 6 forward potential now. You can see he's been pretty good the last 2 years, 33 points. Good little setup, guys. So might as well keep him in that second line center spot and see how he does there next to Cabaduca and also Del Monte. So very excited for the season ahead. I think we're ready to assimilate into it. We probably have to do... Actually, wait a second. Yes, we got to do season goals. I forgot about that because I don't think I did that in the last episode. I didn't set this up yet. So I'm going to make actually a quick cut and set up some season goals, and then I'll see you guys in a second. Okay, guys, so all the goals have been set out. So Staubitz, I gave him actually a passing one for assists, so that way, because he's been getting a lot of assists over the last few years, I think he should be able to get 50 assists. Also, Ristolainen obviously got like a face-off one again. Zelino assist related, same with Kolarz and Arena. I think I gave Del Monte one as well just because he's a playmaker. Same with Bogosian. Perron I gave like hitting related. Capaduca I did goal scoring. That type of thing. Also, I gave Tulipov one for his face-off, so I wanted him to try and get over 50% because I do want to develop him into more of a center than a left winger, but obviously we could try and change him to a left winger if he's still not good on face-offs and all that type of thing. But pretty much that's what I gave out for the most part. Should be pretty self-explanatory. Obviously, guys like Malkin, who's more of a goal scorer, I gave him also goal-related ones as well. So I think we're ready to get into this season. So let's go simulate the next game here. We should be talking to our coach here. Yes, we should. Let's see what he has to say about our roster on paper at the moment. Let's see what he says. A lot of work to do still. Yeah, I totally agree. Obviously, we're not going to be a playoff team for a while still, but at least I think this team is trending in the right direction to hopefully make the playoffs one of these years. Like, well, they definitely will at some point, but I think it's probably going to be like within the next, I'm going to guess 5 to 8 seasons probably still, because obviously we still need to build up that defensive core. Our goaltending isn't solidified yet. Our bottom 6 hasn't developed fully enough. But obviously, who knows? Maybe our top line could carry us a lot of the way. So anyways, there's that. Let's get into simulating some of the season. And we'll probably go to January the first part of this just to see how our team's doing at that stage. But I think this year definitely should be better than last year. Last year was a good year. But obviously, we want to kind of build off of that too, just to show that we're trending in the right direction. We're having a good preseason so far. For the most part, we have 2 wins already. It's good to see. And our last preseason game against Dallas is also a win. So 3-5. That might be our best preseason yet in franchise history. I like to see that. Who led us in the preseason out of curiosity in terms of the points? It was Ristolainen had 12 points in the preseason. Damn, okay. And apparently during the preseason, we were scoring 2.75 goals per game. We were allowing 4 goals against. Our power play was 15%, and our penalty kill was 80%. So we weren't dead last in every single category during the preseason, which is interesting. So let's get to the actual season itself. Our first game of the season is against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Then we have our first home game, which is against Colorado. So we have to take on Sid. We have to take on Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar and all those guys. So that's going to be a tough task to start off the season. So likely I think we're going to allow a lot of goals in these first 2 games. But yeah, let's take it a little bit slow. Let's go to January the 1st to start it off and see how our team does in this first half of the season pretty much. We lose the first game 2-1. That's actually a pretty good defensive effort. But of course, then we have a bad defensive effort as we lose 8-2 to Colorado. Who is going to be the first team we beat this season? It's going to be Tampa Bay. We beat them 5-3. Love to see it. Obviously, we will need to look into changing our coaching staff at some point too. Probably this upcoming offseason might be a good idea because we're starting to build a full-on roster at this point. But we do have 2 wins already now in the year. But yeah, I think we might want to look into coaching adjustments here soon. 3 wins already in our first 12 games. There's an OT loss. So far, so good. As long as we can keep some of these games close, I am happy. Because obviously, if we get blown out like 8-3, that kind of sucks. But it's good to have like these close games. There's another overtime loss, so another point. I can't remember how much points we had last season, but so far so good. 4-14-2. Game against the Jets coming up here is another win. Back-to-back wins, maybe for the first time in franchise history. There's an overtime loss, so 3 straight games with a point and a regulation loss there to end it. But yeah, this has been a good start to the year for the boys. I'm curious to see the point production once we get to the end of the season, though, just because I think Tuzolino, I think Norena, those type of guys could really break out on the defensive side of things this season. Yeah, this is probably going to be our best season yet, I would assume, just based on the way we've started off, unless we go on a really bad stretch. But 5 overtime losses already, so at least we're getting games to overtime as well. Gotta like those. Hopefully we can get an overtime win, though, at some point. 7-3 loss there. 2 more games to wrap up the first half of the season, and they're both losses. So 5-26-5 to start the season. Not too bad. We might be on pace for a 10... let me try to think of what the record would be. 10 wins, 10 overtime losses, and 52 regulation losses. Yeah, that's basically what it would be. Probably something like 10, 52, and 10. If we're at the exact halfway point, which we're not. So still a lot more games to go than that. But let's continue to simulate. I don't want to see the player stats until we actually get to that point. So I'm not even going to back up and see where we are in terms of ranking on everything, because it also might spoil stuff for us. There's a win over Dallas to start off 2029. Nice to see that. There's a shootout loss over Vegas, so at least there's another point. It's kind of funny that our regulation loss, our wins came, seem to always balance out with our like overtime losses. There's another win. 7 wins on the season. Our most, I think, was 10 wins last season. So if we could get anything above that, that'll be a success for sure. Game against Philadelphia, another loss. Game against Anaheim coming up is a 2-1 loss. At least it's a good defensive game. One last game to end off January is another loss. So 7-36-6. Still a lot of season to go. Around 49 games only. So there's a lot of games in this back half of the season apparently. Let's go to the end of February. There's a lot of games this month. So we have 1 game this week, then we have 3 games the next week, 4 games the following week, 3 games the following week after that. Yeah, there's a really tight schedule the rest of the season. So let's see if we can string together some couple wins this month at least. We beat Toronto. That's actually a pretty big win to beat Toronto, because obviously they still have like Matthews and Marner likely and all those type of guys. Back-to-back wins again. 3 straight wins. The longest winning streak in franchise history. And we have tied our best wins, and then we take the most wins that we've ever had. 11 wins on the season now. Good start to the month for the boys. Love to see it. There's a shootout win over New Jersey, so we do win in the extra frame. And we beat the LA Kings 7-6. My voice is trying to die on me, and I'm trying not to clear my voice until at least this month is finishing simulating. We beat Ottawa. Florida, we don't do anything there. Seattle, we win that game. What a month for the team, though. That was definitely our best month in franchise history, because we went 3 games there. We went 4 there. 5, 6, 7, 8 wins in that month, which takes us to 15, 41, and 6 through our first 62 games. We still have 20 games left. I think we could easily hit 20 wins this season if the team continues this trajectory. All right, let's continue to dissimulate. My voice is still trying to die on me, and I honestly have no idea why it's so bad. God damn. Let's go to the middle of March, see how we do in this stretch, but I think we could hit 20 wins this season, realistically, at this point now. It just depends on if our team is going to win a lot of games after they had a good month. Game against Pittsburgh at the trade deadline. Actually, I should take a stoppage because I do want to take a look at what trades happened. We lose back-to-back games. Okay, giving up 15 goals combined. Not ideal. Oh, man, I didn't want to go to this screen necessarily, but I do want to take a look at, what was it? Oh, yeah, the trades. Maybe I shouldn't have taken a look at the trades because now you guys probably already saw who was leading us in points. I didn't take a look at that part. I just didn't see. But in terms of trades at the trade deadline, geez. Lassie Thompson gets dealt to Winnipeg, looks like. Denisenko to Carolina. Kotkaniemi to Vegas. Damn, okay. Ristolainen goes to the Sharks. What else we got here? Dylan Cousins gets dealt to New Jersey. Kind of surprised Buffalo would offload him already. Ville Heinola to Utah. Those are generated guys. Ryan Paling to Florida. Liam Foudy to New Jersey. Jake Wallman to Pittsburgh. Oliver Wahlstrom to Calgary. Okay. Neighbors and Iafallo to New York. All right. Mangiapane and Samuelson to Minnesota. Hartman, Zibanejad. That's not Mika Zibanejad because it's a right winger. So Zibanejad and Crane to Pittsburgh. Uyghur and Alexiev and Brandon Saad to Edmonton. Utah gets Sam Lafferty. Athanasio to San Jose. Anything else? Cam York and Adam Henrique to Tampa. Anything else that I recognize here? Not really. Vlasic to Edmonton as an Alex Vlasic. And Nestorenko to Vancouver. Okay. That is that. Let's go back to here quickly because I do not want to look at the stats here. Let me just press X. Boobadoo. I just tried not to focus on that part. I know some of you guys probably already were looking at it to see who the stat leader is on the team. I just don't want to look at it until I actually get to the end of the season here. So let's continue to simulate and see how we do in these next 2 weeks. But I think we should hopefully get close to 20 wins. I think this is going to be probably a way worse month than last month just because of how good it was. But I really want to hit close to 20 wins if we can here because we already have 15. But I feel like the game's going to keep us at like 18 at most. Just because that's how the game seems to work. If you have a really good month when you're a bad team, then you seem to have a really bad month the next one. So far, we've lost every game this month by comparison, but at least our last month was good. Because that does show at least a glimmer of hope for the future of this team. 3 games this week, spread out quite evenly. There's a win over Detroit to get our 16th win of the season. Game against Columbus, another win. Overtime game, nice. Game against Vancouver is a shootout loss. That's still a point. We're up to 17, 49, and 7 with 9 games to go. Will we hit 20 wins in year 5? Let's see. Game against Washington is a loss, okay. Game against the Rangers is a win. That's win number 18 on the year for the team. St. Louis is an overtime loss, and then we lose to Philadelphia. We're 18, 51, and 8 with 5 games to go. We need 2 wins if we want to hit 20 wins, but regardless, this is definitely our best season, which is great to see. First 2 games, Anaheim in Nashville. Let's see if we could get at least 1 win out of these 2 games. Anaheim is a win, and we lose to Nashville. We are on to 19 wins. We just need 1 win in our last 3 games, but it's 3 tougher teams. Edmonton, Toronto, and Buffalo is actually pretty bad this season. Like, they're only a little bit better than us, apparently. So we have a chance to potentially hit 20 wins. Let's see. Game against Edmonton. A really good team. We lose in overtime. I mean, to take a point from that team is pretty impressive. Game against Toronto. Can we beat Toronto? No, we cannot. Comes down to the last game of the season, looking for our 20th win on the year. Can we find a way to do it and get that 20th win? We're definitely going to finish still dead last, I think, in the league. But Buffalo is really bad still, which is kind of funny. Can we get our 20th win, please? Come on, boys. Come on. 20 wins? No. 1954-9. I knew it was going to literally just come down to the last game or so. That's still a way better season than I anticipated. We almost hit 20 wins. We had points in 28 of our 82 games, which is pretty impressive for how good our roster looks on paper. So I like that a lot. Let's take a look at who was our team leader and stuff like that. But first and foremost, let's go to the league leader. Actually, we'll look at that afterwards. But here is, wow. Okay, I was not expecting that to be our team leader. So our forward leader in points, Matej Kolars had 88 points on the season. Defensive point leader was Tuzolino with 49. Ristolainen led with 39 goals. Kolars had 61 assists this season. Del Monte had 35 points in his rookie season, and Dal Coley picked up 10 of our wins on the year. But obviously, we're going to take a look at individual stats right now as well. But first and foremost, where did we finish in terms of the entire league and all that stuff? So in terms of the entire league, yeah, we're still dead last, but not very far off of being not dead last. Winnipeg and Buffalo both had 63 points. I'm surprised the Jets were this bad already in year 5, but we're definitely at least trending in the right direction. We were not actually that far off of being not the worst offensive team in the league anymore. So we are getting to that stage where we're actually going to be one of the better offensive teams at some stage too. So that's good. Goals against per game, though, we are definitely still the worst defensive team by quite a large margin, by at least 1 full goals against, which is kind of crazy. So Definitely still need to get that defensive play and that goaltending better. Our power play was 14%, which is not worst in league. It was better than Pittsburgh and better than Detroit. I don't know how Detroit was 15th with a 9.4% power play. Jesus. Penalty kill, we're probably still like dead last, right? Second worst. Buffalo was worse than us on the penalty kill, and we almost were better than the playoff Calgary Flames. All right. 7 wins on home ice, 12 on the road this year, so we were actually a pretty good road team by comparison to prior years. 2-5-3 in our last 10 games to wrap up the season. All right. Well, Kolar so far might end up being the best offensive forward this team has. Oh my goodness, he was only a -8 too? What the hell? Our top line might have actually been really, really good in terms of that. So first and foremost, though, our centers. Kari Ristolainen, 86 points this season. He is still developing really nicely. Glad we gave him that long-term deal. Good power play points. He also had some short-handed points. Good face-off percentage again. A lot of hits. A lot of takeaways. Had a couple fights. This guy does pretty much everything you'd want from him. Really, really nice to see. So yeah, he's still developing the right way. Only though the -17 is really impressive for year 5 of a draft to glory, because usually you stay like a -60 plus at least for the first few years. But he's definitely showing that he has good offense, and then I guess the top line doesn't go out there for a lot of goals against, which is nice. Jameson Bogosian, 31 points. A little bit less than last year, I think. Yeah, a little bit. But still, I mean, he's up to a 74 at 22, which isn't terrible. So I still think he's a useful forward, but I don't know if he's going to become a top 6 forward. I think he's probably more of a guy that might be capping out as like a third liner at best or a bottom 6 forward, but he's still not too bad. Tulipov on 17 points. Not terrible. How was his face-off percentage this year? 44.5. Yeah, we might have to try and get him to change over to a left winger, and then we could change Del Monte to a center instead. That might end up being the play going forward. Stefan Steen in his rookie season, 13 points and 8 goals. That's not terrible. 3 game-winning goals out of 8 goals is really good. So that's an okay rookie season for him. His face-off percentage was 45%. Yeah, he was okay. He was okay. Solid depth scoring, I would say. In terms of our left wingers, we did see, though, Mitej Kolars. This guy is developing really nicely. He's going to definitely get a lot of money based on this so far. But first 2 years of his career, he's been really good. He's definitely helped us take that next step. Rookie season, 62 points. This year, 88 points to lead the team. 27 goals as a playmaker as well. And he was only a -8. So, yeah, that's really, really impressive from him. Does actually throw a lot more hits than I would think for a playmaker, and he actually has good takeaways too. So Kolars is developing really, really nicely. And his faceoffs are also up to a 77 now too. So we could use him as a center, but I think Del Monte might be the better option. However, Kolars is very good at passing already. And K. Del Monte, in his rookie season, was kind of more of a hybrid production player. Had 16 goals and 19 assists for a playmaker, which is kind of interesting. So he might be one of those guys that maybe need to change player types. Not too sure on that. It obviously depends on future seasons, but apparently he was 52% on the draw in the faceoffs that he did take. He only did take 96 faceoffs, though. So maybe he could still be a center, but I'm not too sure on that. Capaduca, 19 points, only 12 goals. Definitely need more out of guys like Capaduca if we want to get into the playoffs at some stage, because obviously the depth scoring is important. We can't just rely on one top line. But, yeah, he dropped off in production. His plus-minus was better, so at least that's a bit better than that. But I think I need this guy to shoot a little bit more pucks, so maybe in the offseason I'd tell him to take a lot more shots, because he's only averaging, like, not much shots per game, like 1.5 shots a game. He might not be getting a lot of ice time. No, his ice time's okay. So maybe I should try and just get him to start shooting the puck a bit more. I don't really know. Noonan on 10 points, not too bad. 6 goals. I think that's a downfall from last year, though. Yeah, it is a little bit. So some of the bottom 6 forwards not doing as much as they once were. At least the plus-minus is improving. Right wing side of things, Staubitz had 73 points this year, 25 goals for him, so another 20-goal season. And he almost reached 50 assists, doesn't reach it, but still had a pretty good year. A little bit down from last year, but only a -15. 4 game-winning goals as well. Not too bad. Face-off percentage is actually pretty good from Staubitz, too. Like, we could move Staubitz to center as well if we really wanted, but a lot of hits, good takeaway numbers. Like it. Like it. And obviously he's got that big term deal as well. Then we have Pavel Malkin, 20 points, 11 goals. Not bad. Weston Timmons, 17 points. I'll take it. And then Dean Perron. No game-winning goals this season for him, but 15 points, which is not too bad. His plus-minus was definitely one of the worst on the team now. Defensively, this should be interesting to look at. So Tuzolino, 49 points this season, as we saw. Minus 47. Up to a 90 overall and already listed as a top 2 defenseman. He's going to get a lot of money, too. He's still getting better each year, which is great to see. Hopefully he takes it to the next level. His offensive awareness and passing are in a really good spot. Like, when this team's actually at its peak, he should be like a 70, 80-point defenseman, my guess. So shout out to Tuzolino. And then Kai Narena, who's probably one of my favorite project players so far in the series. 12 goals and 33 points. I like that from Kai Narena. He's actually listed as a top 6 defenseman now, as a low 4. And if you look at his stats, his offensive awareness still a little bit low, but the passing is great. So he's definitely on the upwards trajectory still at being a solid offensive defenseman for us. Wow. Was not expecting that. Stanley Bates hit 11 goals and 27 points. That's really not that bad for another low 4. So we're getting a couple low 4s to pan out, which is really cool. So shout out to Stanley Bates. I don't know. Was he on our team last year? He was. Yeah, much better year. He had more goals than he had points last season. So Stanley Bates broke out. Trevelyan, 21 points. His production's starting to go down. A couple of these guys are starting to go down a little bit in production. Yeah, Trevelyan was good in the early stages, but now that he's not getting as much power play time, he's not doing as well, and he's kind of staying where he was. Whitfield, 14 points in his rookie season's not bad as a medium 6. Parks, 12 points. Maybe another chance to win another Bill Masterton for him, or whatever it was. Yeah, Bill Masterton trophy. He's already got 3. Maybe he'll win another one this season. So there's that. And then our goaltenders. Del Coley had a 10-25-5 record, an 876 save percentage, and a 4.6 goals against. Tommy Shipley was arguably the better goaltender. And they're both a 70 overall now, so they're both still competing for that starting job right now. 929-4, 1 shutout, and 879 save percentage in the 4.44 goals against. Interesting. Both of them had actually assists this season too, so shout out to Del Coley and Shipley. No shutouts this season from Del Coley, but 1 from Shipley. So Shipley's now up to how much career shutouts? He's up to 4 career shutouts already, which is pretty impressive because he only has 20 wins in his career. So there is that. Let's take a look at stats around the league. In terms of points, David Pastrnak, 133 points this season. Most goals this season was also Pastrnak with 78. Damn. A lot of 50 goal scorers as well this season. Best defenseman for points was Charlie McAvoy with 92. So the Boston Bruins are apparently a scary team in year number 5. Cale Makar number 2. There is a chance Cale could win it because of the plus minus, or Evan Bouchard, but not too sure. Best goalie this season. Stuart Skinner, 47 wins. Most shutouts, Spencer Knight, Kachekov, and Skinner. Best save percentage by a starter is Shesterkin with a 919, who's now in San Jose, which is kind of funny. Best goals against average by a starter is Devin Levi with a 2.54 in Colorado. That's funny to see him doing really well in Colorado, and in Buffalo was so bad this season. Like, I don't know why Buffalo got rid of Devin Levi so early, but won't question it. No goalie goals this season. Most assists was 4 from Gabriel Dag. Best rookie this season for points, Thomas Ustorf, the guy that went first overall, 54 points. Del Monte finishes number 2 in rookie points. Obviously, really bad plus minus. Emil Yarventi, Caleb Desnoyers, etc. Okay. I do actually want to take a look at our AHL team as well briefly, because there was guys I'm curious on down there. So if we go down to the AHL, Zetterberg hit 15 goals and 34 points. How good was he last year? Because I don't remember. 31 points. So pretty good. Pretty similar stats to last year. Still only a 59 though. I don't know if I'm going to get that guy to pan out. Ilya Bure actually had more goals than assists as a playmaker. 33 points. Up to a 58. Not as much growth as I was hoping for from him. But hopefully he develops more in the offseason. Defensively, Joaquin David, 45 points in the AHL. That's good to see, but I don't know if he'll make it back to the NHL at some stage. Neil Fair, 32 points. Justice Volk had 31. Trainer had 29. Pavelski, 27. Not bad. And then the goalies down there, Thorne had a 903. That's actually pretty good. and then Tamlin had an 887. Yeah, I don't know if Tamlin's times here is almost done. I don't know if it's almost done or not. All right. Well, now comes the question is who wins the Stanley Cup in 2029 and where are we drafting this season too? Because I don't know if I took a look at the draft class in the last episode. I can't remember. I think I might have, but obviously we didn't know if there was a franchise player or not. So let's find out who wins the Stanley Cup and all that first and foremost, and then we'll see where we're drafting for the upcoming season, which hopefully, like I said, it's a good draft class for us because it would be nice, obviously, to get more good prospects in for this team, build up that depth even more so. But I think this team's trending in the right direction. The fact that we almost got 20 wins and it was mostly our top line to blame for that is pretty crazy. So once we get that depth scoring down, we're going to be a lot better. And obviously the defense and the goaltending needs to improve too. But I think we're definitely trajectorying into the right way. I don't even know if that's a word, but I don't even give a shit. So, who wins the Stanley Cup in 2028-29? The Columbus Blue Jackets. Well, that's kind of interesting. I was not expecting them of all teams. Coachella wins the Calder Cup, so Columbus is a Stanley Cup champion. Who did they beat for the Cup? Colorado. And it was an overtime game, so a Stanley Cup overtime game-winning goal. And it was in Game 7, it looks like, too, because Colorado was one win away from the Cup. Wow, Game 7 overtime Stanley Cup winning goal from Zach Werenski. That's pretty impressive. And the Blue Jackets actually rallied in that game too, because they were technically down 4-2. Then it was technically 5-3. Then it was 5-5, two kind of late goals, Sprong and Burakovsky, and then Werenski won in overtime. Man, if you were a Blue Jackets fan at that game, that would be insane. Who was the home team in that game? It looks like Colorado might have been. So Colorado fans probably didn't like that a lot, but Columbus fans, that would be crazy. Absolutely bonkers. All right, so next we got to take a look at the awards for the season. So we got to go probably to here. Yep. Let's see the awards. See if Parks got another Masterton or not. So Columbus, the Stanley Cup champions in 2029. Colorado, the President's Trophy. And then obviously they lost in the finals. Individual awards, David Pastrnak to Art Ross, Nathan McKinnon, the Hart. James Norris going to Cale Makar for the third time in the series already. David Pastrnak, the Lady Byng. Thomas Ustorf won the Calder for LA. Adam Fantilli, the Conn Smythe. That's kind of an interesting one. Devin Levi won the Vezina after he left the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo, take that L again. Jeez. He also won the Jennings for the second consecutive season in Colorado. There's Stanley Bates winning the Bill Masterton. So that's our third different Masterton winner of the series already. So Parks has 3, Trevelyan has 1, and Stanley Bates has just won his first. Nashville's head coach wins it, Jack Adams. Jack Hughes, the Selke, interesting. Rantanen, the Lindsay, and Pastrnak, the Richard. AHL-wise, Evgeny Malkin was a good player in Coachella Valley when they won the Calder Cup. Goddamn, that's hilarious. I don't know why Malkin's in the AHL, but that's kind of disgraceful to his legacy. Anybody else interesting down there? Ilya Samsonov. But yeah, George Trainer winning another award back-to-back, or not back-to-back, 2 in the last 3 with the Yannick Dupre. It was fair last year. Vitek Vanacek's also in the minors, but shout out to Malkin playing in Seattle's AHL affiliate. So there is that. Now the question is the draft lottery. Obviously, we still don't really know what this draft class is looking like, so it's going to make it more exciting if there is a franchise player when we look at it afterwards. But who is going to win the draft lottery for 2029? Obviously, we have the best odds. Can we win it again? No, we cannot. Once again, we fall from 1 to 3. Seems like that happens almost every time. You always fall back from 1 to 3. But we've only won the draft lottery 1 time so far, but we will have the 3rd overall pick. St. Louis has number 1 and Winnipeg number 2. Didn't St. Louis already have a 1st overall pick in this franchise mode? I feel like they might have been the team that got Gavin McKenna, if I remember right. Because if they do get another franchise player, that'd be insane. Sucks that we didn't win the draft lottery, but that's okay. In terms of retirements, oh my goodness. I gotta take a screenshot of this. Just Hockey Guy 88 in my Discord. I don't know if he's even watching these episodes or not. He's a big Patrick Kane fan, and he didn't like it when he went to Detroit. I don't know how he would feel about him going to St. Louis, though. Malkin retires in Seattle's AHL team. Brad Marchand retires as well. Duchesne. A lot of big names. A lot of these guys now in the AHL, which is kind of interesting that they'd be down there. Huh. But Patrick Kane in St. Louis, that's a really weird look. Especially considering he's a Blackhawks legend. Defensively, Drew Doughty retires in Dallas's AHL team. Some really weird retirements in terms of where these guys are located now. Interesting. Goaltenders, Cam Talbot and James Reimer and such. So not as much big name goalies. All right. So those are the retirements for 2029. Duchesne is now a coach apparently. Not Malkin apparently, but Matt Duchesne's a coach. That's cool. Did we lose any coaches of our own, speaking of which? We did lose Jesus Betts and Khalil Thomas, who was, I don't remember which coach he was, but I do remember having that guy. And Burnaby didn't lose anybody. So we lose 2 people from our coaching staff. Like I said, this might be the offseason we address coaching. All right. Now comes the interesting thing. The draft interviews. We have the 3rd overall pick. What is this draft class looking like? Okay, it's just a medium elite guy supposed to go 1st overall, but we might be able to... Oh, that's an interesting player. I didn't realize he was going to be a grinder. I'm not going to go with a high top 6 grinder, but Mohamed Meyer is going to be really memey. I'm curious on how this guy's going to assimilate. Like, he's apparently 3 years out, and he's a high top 6 grinder. You don't see a high top 6 grinder very often. This guy's going to likely go number 2 before our pick, which means it's going to be between the high top 6, and then there's also a medium elite sniper in Clifford Cairns. It looks pretty good. A DFT that's medium elite, maybe that's the thing we need. I don't really like medium elite defensive defensemen, but he might be somebody we could use, because we could put him next to our offensive defenseman, and that would be a perfect pairing. It would be a perfect pairing. So Drew Bell could be interesting. There's also Gaspard Mercier as a center sniper. Looks pretty good. 1 year out. But yeah, I think I might actually be leaning towards the DFD. But it would be still kind of a cool meme pick to have a high top 6 grinder, but I don't really think it's going to make our team that much better. I think that guy's a player that would fall to like 6th overall or something. There's also medium elite in Bernard Brossois, who's a 2-way forward, right winger. That's not too bad either, for that matter. He's 2 years out, though. Supposed to go 7th overall. Todd Earl, can't really tell. Huh, alright. Is there any steals in this draft that we need to know about? There's a guaranteed medium elite goaltender, Mikhail Jorgensen. He's 19 years old. I'll pin him for sure, because we do need goalie prospects, probably. Jorgen Ahinen might be medium elite, but no guarantees. He could be a low elite. Terrence De Silva could be an elite goaltender as well. Is there any low elites that are guaranteed? Guess that would be nice as well. We need ourselves some low elites. 2 low elite defensemen. One of them is supposed to go late 1st round, though, so there is a chance that we might not be able to get Naslund. It's just unfortunate. But Jordan Lee, he's not even supposed to get drafted, but he's guaranteed low elite DFD, which is something we could definitely use in our prospect pool. Maybe a low elite enforcer, tough to tell with Tony McCabe. A lot of these guys are 3 bars. This guy's a gem, so he's probably a low elite, but no guarantees on that. There might be a lot of low elites in this draft class. We got to take, obviously, chances on some of them later on, but that's good to see. What about just goalie prospects in general? Viggetti's probably an elite goaltender then if Jorgensen is. Same as Spezza. We could always take like Spezza in the 2nd round instead of Jorgensen if we want to, because he's younger. I would assume these guys are elite goalies, but there's no guarantees. These guys are starters. So it looks like there's good goaltenders in this draft class. I'd say some solid defensemen in this draft class. And then offensively, there's good stuff too. So we should be able to target a lot of our needs in the upcoming class. Do I want to interview anybody in this draft class off the top of my head? I don't know, really. Yeah, Yves Sauvé. He's probably a 4, top 4. Lane Karkner, probably top 4. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to interview anybody. I could interview somebody like Viggetti, the goaltender, but I'm not going to take him that high up. I don't think. Because goalies are crapshoots. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to interview anybody in this draft class. But I think it's still going to be a good one for us. Hopefully. Okay, final few things we got to do to wrap up this episode. Let's take a quick look at our progress reports and the contract situation, because we are going to need to re-sign some people this offseason likely. So first and foremost, the progress reports. What do we got? Let's go to our centers first. So Ristolainen's getting some growth. How about natural? Some statistical, so he might not be a 91. He might be still like an 89. Bogosian's up to a 75. That's pretty useful. That's pretty useful. A lot of statistical growth from him, though. Steen jumped to a 72. I like that. He's outgrown Tulipov already. All natural growth, too. And Tulipov up to a 71. A little bit of a mix of natural and statistical. Left wing side of things, Kolar's, that's got to be natural growth, right? Natural and statistical. A lot of statistical growth, though, with him, so he actually might not be a 90 plus or 89 overall at this stage. But I do think he's definitely worth a big extension. Del Monte up to an 81. Nice. So we're actually starting to get that depth a bit. A lot of statistical growth from him, too. So I am a little bit worried that he's getting a lot of statistical growth at his age. Capaduca up to a 73, mostly statistical. Noonan, natural. Nice. Nothing from that other dude who doesn't even matter. Staubitz went back down to an 86. Yeah, I figured. Yeah, he was on natural growth most of the time. He did get a lot of natural growth there, but some statistical growth still too. He's probably not as high overall as he looks. Prawn up to a 74. A lot of these guys are kind of good fourth line options. I like that. So good to see on that front. Malkin up to a 72. Not bad. His potential has changed, though, I think. Actually, no, he was always a low 6, wasn't he? Yeah, I think he might have always been a low 6, but not too sure. A lot of natural growth from him. And then Timmins up to a 70 as well, which is good to see. So, our entire NHL roster next season might be up in the 70-plus range, which is awesome. Defensively, Tuzolino's up to a 91, and it is a mostly statistical growth, which is not great. Norena, please be natural. Natural and statistical, but he's still getting a lot of natural growth as an offensive defenseman and low 4 potential. He could maybe actually develop into a top 4 defenseman at this rate. Like, I've been impressed with his production. Like, he's averaging at least 30 points a season. I think he could even achieve 40 plus if he keeps growing. How's his offensive awareness now? Only an 83. He's never going to be maybe a huge point guy as an OFD, though, because that offensive awareness needs to be 90 plus if he wants to produce well. But he's got good shot power, and then his passing, I think, was really good too, right? We saw before. Yeah, his passing's up to like a 98. If only we could get his offensive awareness to climb. That's going to be a tough task, though. Bates up to a 72. Pretty solid. Trevelyan's still a 70. I think Trevelyan's hit his limit, apparently. Parks, 69. Not bad, but how long is he going to be in the NHL for? And then Whitfield up to a 68. A lot of natural growth from him, so that's good to see. Goaltending, Shipley and Dalcoli are both a 71, so they're still going to be duking it out for a starting job, apparently, which is kind of funny. And in here is Dalcoli, all natural growth from both of them. In the system, Thorne's up to a 68. We have Ollie, the unsigned goalie, up to a 67. Tamlin's a 67 as well. And it's Semenov up to a 55. I think Tamlin might be almost done here. He might end up being a depth goaltender at best. It's unfortunate because I wouldn't have minded him developing, but Ollie's got better potential and all he needs is a contract this upcoming season. So Tamlin might be scratched next season, or he might be let go of. I want your guys' opinion on that if you can. Defensively, Walking David up to a 68. Nice. Pavelski 67. Volk is 65. Trainer 64. Terrell Jenks, who's unsigned, 62. Farah 62. And Gardner's only still a 53 as a low elite. Tyson Gardner does not seem to be developing as an unsigned prospect, which is unfortunate because I can't play him in the AHL yet even. And then in terms of forwards, Zetterberg went up to a 62, so he got a lot of growth this season. That's really good. Up by 24 points. A lot of growth to, what was it? His offensive awareness and his defensive awareness. That's good. What about Bure? Bure went up to a 60 at 20. He's probably going to end up being one of those guys that end up being like a 78, my guess, but he is growing at least, so you definitely have at least maybe one more year in the AHL, I think. But some of our prospects are at least growing, which is good to see. All right, so there is that. The final thing we got to take a look at is the contract situation. Who do we got to pay money to this offseason? Let's see. Tuizelino. Obviously, I want to give him an 8-year deal. What is he gonna want? Out of curiosity, he wants a 6-year deal right now. Obviously, when we get to the re-sign stage, he might want an 8, but we're gonna definitely try and lock him up for a good chunk of contract. And then these other guys, I don't think they're gonna want one way yet. Yeah, they might still want two ways. So Tuizelino might be the only one that's gonna get paid big bucks. Everybody else will be really cheap, I think, to bring back. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Albuquerque Aliens Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to the draft and obviously the offseason and all that stuff. Hopefully we get more good prospects into this team just to keep up with the depth. And hopefully this team continues to win more games, because I think after having 19 wins this season, I think next season we could easily get to like 25 if our players are developing the right way, if we have a good draft as well. Like, we are definitely making some good headway here early on. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.